He's in Washington, D.C., but first, before we get to his subject, I know we got to hear about his college team, and so go ahead, Roland.
You know this.
Yeah, we know this.
I thought my voice was coming back, like battling allergies last week. Tom, this is no lie. I'm driving home, Texas A&M women down 17. I see this comeback. I pull over on the side of the road.
I know that's right.
To watch the ending on the Watch ESPN app on my phone, and to see the freshman of the year, Kennedy Carter, a sister, who dropped 32 points in the second half, nailed that three to beat DePaul by 1. So great job by Coach Gary Blair and my girl Kelly Bond Price, also one of the coaches there. And then, to see the men just demolish North Carolina.
Ooh, man.
You know I was texting Kenny Smith during the game.
Of course you were.
Man.
I was killing the Jet and just beat them by 20. So both of my Aggies teams advanced to the Sweet 16. Ladies going to Spokane, Washington. Men going to L.A. So great job as well by everybody.
And then Sybil said you did Wakanda Forever on ABC. And,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody looked at you like, what is this? What is this?
But George got it.
Yeah, it was like,
ABC
it's ABC. It's an ABC property.
Y'all's parent company own the movie now. Y'all made $1 billion, so y'all might like that cross promotion.
And the conservative woman's still looking like a deer caught in the headlights.
What is he doing? Is that a gang sign? What is he doing? Is he rooting for Xavier? What is he doing?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Next time I'll bring Sarah a Kente Claus shirt. It'll be all good. All right, y'all. Elections are going over all across the country. I keep telling folks, don't just be focused on congressional races in the midterms, and the U.S. Senate races. The down-ballot races matter. Law enforcement races matter. Statewide attorney general races, but also locally district attorney races. In Illinois, tomorrow they go to the polls to vote. And in the the attorney general's race on the Democratic side, 2 African Americans are vying to win the nomination. State Senator Kwame Raoul and also attorney Sharon Fairley. Both of them join us right now on the Join the Show. Let me go by alphabetical order. Sharon, you will go first. Why should voters elect you to be the next Attorney General for the state of Illinois?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on. I'm delighted to be able to talk to you and your listeners. This is great. So, I have this really unique set of personal and professional experiences that I think make me the most qualified for the job. So I have an undergraduate degree in mechanical and aerospace engineering, which shows that I don't shrink from tough problems. I have an MBA in business experience, so I've managed people and places and budgets and processes. But from a legal perspective, I have the breadth of experience that you really need for the Attorney General. I served as an assistant Attorney General, so I actually served in the office I seek to leave. I was a federal prosecutor for 8 years, working on the kinds of cases that are directly relevant to the work of the Attorney General. And then I also have a significant amount of experience working in police reform and in public corruption. And these are all themes that are really important for the office. But most importantly, I'm independent. I haven't taken any financial contributions from any of the special interest groups or any of the political leaders that I might be called on to investigate someday. And so that's why I believe that 7 newspapers all throughout the state of Illinois have identified my campaign and me as the strongest candidate in the race. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
State Senator Kwame Raoul.
Good morning, Roland. Roland, as you know, I've been serving in the state legislature for the last 13 years, having replaced Barack Obama 13 years ago. I've been practicing law in the state of Illinois for 25 years. More importantly, I've been living in the black community in Chicago, in the state of Illinois, all of my life. I know the community. That's why I moved to abolish the death penalty in the state of Illinois. I've passed numerous reforms to the criminal justice system, sealing criminal, expanding the offenses that you can have criminal records sealed, removing barriers to licensure for ex-offenders. I started working on law enforcement reform before the revelation of the Laquan McDonald tape because I knew about the police torture that went on within the city of Chicago. I passed a bill creating a torture inquiry commission to allow people who had been tortured into confessions to have their cases reviewed. I passed a law reform, enforcement reform package before Laquan McDonald because I grew up as a black man in Chicago and I knew what was going on before a video was released. Roland, my father was a community physician. He was a Haitian-American community physician who served the south side of Chicago for 30 years, never turning a patient down because of their inability to pay. I lost him to prostate cancer, the same disease that took my grandfather on both sides. And so I knew that my day would come at some point, but I had access to health insurance. It saved my life and allows me to be a survivor ready to serve. I passed a bill to embrace Obamacare in the state of Illinois so everybody can have the access to the life-saving preventative health care.
Sharon, let me ask you this question here. You talk about, you mentioned public corruption. Look, Illinois, y'all compete with Louisiana on that particular area. And so, so how do you gain the trust of voters who say, look, we've come to expect this in this state?
Absolutely. Well, as we all know, we have some issues here when it comes to corruption and lack of integrity amongst our political leadership. And, last fall it was discovered that our legislators went for 3 years without the office, the legislative inspector general, being filled. It sat empty. And as a result of that, we had 27 complaints, many of them related to sexual misconduct, that were just literally sitting in a box. And I believe this is because our political leaders just have no commitment to accountability. And having served as the first Deputy Inspector General for the City of Chicago, these are the kinds of investigations that I've conducted and the kind of work that I've done in an independent way. And that's why I think it's so important that we have an Attorney General that doesn't have any ties or preformed relationships with the political leaders that she might be called on to investigate from this perspective. And so it's a really important issue here. I really want to focus on this issue, and I believe that the office can do a much more strategic and proactive role in terms of rooting out corruption throughout, at all levels of government throughout our state. And because I have experience doing it, I'm really excited to throw my hands into the game.
Kwame, same question.
I created the Public Access Counselor within the Attorney General's office, and the Public Access Counselor, Roland, is an officer within the Attorney General's office that reviews FOIA claims. The best cleanser to public corruption is sunshine. And so if people have information about their government, if people have their eyes on the government, no public corruption will go on. The problem is the Public Access Counselor is overwhelmed. The one thing that Sharon said about the complaints to Inspector General, she said many of them were about sexual harassment. Well, there's only been one of those cases that has been made public, and that was about sexual harassment. But for her to say that many of them were about sexual harassment, she can't know because she doesn't have access to that information. And so we want our candidates to be truthful.
Oh, well, the sort of widely viewed, it was widely publicized back in the fall that Springfield was accused of being a frat house atmosphere. And so Senator Raoul, is part of the team that was there that should have known that the Legislative Inspector General's office remained vacant, and has admitted that was done on his watch. And so again, having taken hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign contributions from elected officials, I just don't think that that's independent and it's appropriate for the Attorney General to have those kinds of preformed allegiances and debts owed to leaders that he might be called on to investigate.
Well, folks, don't forget. You previously have had a black attorney general in Illinois, Roland Burris, and you have Sharon Fairley and Kwame Raoul, who want to be the next attorney general in Illinois. Both of you, good luck tomorrow in the primary.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you, Roland.
Okay, thanks.
And Roland and Sybil, who's leading in the polls?
Well, actually, it's like 7 candidates in the race.
Yeah.
So it's a huge deal there. So frankly, you only got to get probably about 25-30% of the vote to likely win the nomination.
Okay.
And that's not to mention all of the people who are no longer with us that may be voting. I'm kidding, candidates. I'm kidding.
No, you're not. You said your mother's still on the roll.
Wow.
She's been gone 25 years.